My girlfriend cuddled with her work husband at the office. So I canceled her entire $5,700 birthday weekend, moved out, and let her learn the truth about him the hard way. She looked me dead in the eye and said, almost casually, "Yeah, sometimes my work husband and I cuddle. It's totally platonic. If you can't wrap your head around that, then that's on you." All I could manage to say was, "Sure, you're right." But the next morning, while she was still half asleep, I quietly pulled out my phone and wiped every reservation, every gift, every surprise ID lined up for her birthday weekend. One by one, gone. That night, when she walked into the restaurant with her friends, all dressed up and glowing, she found out the table had been canceled, with the reason listed as no longer needed. She broke down right there in front of everyone. Now, before I dive deeper, hey, if you're watching this, hit subscribe and give the video a like if you want more stories like this. Thanks. Lena had been dropping hints for ages about wanting the full princess treatment, something Instagram-worthy, something that looked lavish and felt even more extravagant. So I delivered. The schedule was airtight. Friday night, dinner at the Vane, pretty much the hardest reservation in the entire city. I had to cash in a client favor just to land a table for 6. Saturday, a full-day spa package for her and her best friend Tessa, followed by a surprise overnight stay at a boutique hotel downtown. Sunday, a bougie brunch at her favorite spot. All in, I was pushing past $5,700. And you know what? I didn't blink. I loved her. I wanted her to feel like the center of the universe. What I didn't realize was that while I was securing reservations, she was securing something else. Something emotional. With Owen. Owen, the infamous work husband. It started like these things always do. Quiet, subtle, harmless on the surface. 6 months earlier, he was just the new guy in Theoeting who can't figure out Excel. Then suddenly he became Owen, who brings me coffee. Then Owen, who just really gets the stress of the industry. I'm not naturally a jealous man. Eve got female friends. I get how workplace friendships can form. But then the boundaries started dissolving, like watching a sandcastle get swallowed by the tide. At 10:30 p.m., her phone would light up on the nightstand. Work emergency? I'd ask. No, she'd mumble, never looking up, fingers tapping away. Just Owen sending me memes. He's going through something with his girlfriend and just needs support. Support. From her. By midnight, she would let out this dramatic, exasperated sigh, the kind that said everything without saying anything. Theo, he's sensitive, she'd tell me. He's not like you. He actually talks about his feelings. We connect intellectually and emotionally. Why do you always twist everything into something sexual? That was her go-to defense. Psychological jargon used like a weapon. She consumed hours of TikTok therapy talk and learned just enough buzzwords to flip every situation into a moral failing on my part. If I asked for basic respect, I was controlling. If I mentioned that another man taking her to lunch 3 times a week made me uncomfortable, I was insecure and projecting my toxic masculinity onto her. I kept trying to be the bigger person. I told myself I was the man she came home to, the guy paying the mortgage, the one prepping Operation 30. Owen was just a temporary emotional project, a coworker she pitied. I was wrong. He wasn't a detour. He was the exit ramp. Everything shifted 3 days before her birthday. I had just picked up her gift, a vintage necklace she'd pointed out in a catalog half a year earlier. When I walked into the apartment, I saw her outside on the balcony, whispering into her phone in that secretive voice people use when they don't want to be overheard. The moment the sliding door shut behind me, she jumped like she'd been caught doing something illegal. She hung up right away. Who was that? I asked, casually setting her gift bag in the closet. Just Owen, she said, cheeks a little flushed. He's having a crisis. He seems to have a crisis every time I'm not around, I said, trying to keep my tone neutral even while irritation crawled up my spine. You wouldn't understand, she snapped as she brushed past me toward the kitchen. You're emotionally rigid. Owen actually feels things. He needs to know someone's in his corner. I let it go. I didn't want to spark a fight right before her birthday week. I kept telling myself, just get through the weekend. Make her feel loved. Then maybe we can finally talk about boundaries like adults. Honestly, I was a fool. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I was in the kitchen stirring risotto, trying to get the texture just right. Lena was sitting at the island sipping the glass of wine I poured for her, wearing this soft, private smile at her phone, a smile I hadn't seen directed at me since before summer. "How was work?" I asked, still stirring. "Intense," she said, eyes glued to her screen. "Owen had a panic attack in the break room around 2. Is he okay?" I asked, forcing myself to sound sympathetic. "He's fine now," she said. Then she finally put the phone down and looked straight at me, as if daring me to challenge her. "I stayed with him," she said. "We went into the quiet room in the back office. I turned the lights off, and we just laid on the couch and cuddled for like an hour until he calmed down." I froze, literally stopped stirring mid-motion. The spoon hovered over the pan while my pulse slammed against my ribs. "I'm sorry," I said carefully. "Did you just say you cuddled with him? In the dark?" She rolled her eyes so hard I thought she might strain something. "Oh my God, Theo. Yes. We cuddled. It's called co-regulation. It helps lower cortisol." It was completely platonic. I shut the burner off. I turned around. I faced her fully. "Lena, you're a 25-year-old woman in a committed relationship. You spent an hour lying in the dark in another man's arms. You seriously don't see any problem with that?" "No, I don't," she shot back, her voice rising. "Adults know that touch is a basic human need." He was in distress. I helped him. It wasn't sexual. He didn't try anything, and neither did I. We just held each other. And then, in the quietest voice I could muster, I asked her, "And if I did the same thing?" I looked at her and said, "So let me get this straight. If I spent my afternoon spooning the new intern because she was stressed out, you'd be totally fine with that?" She actually scoffed. "That's completely different," she said, waving her hand as if I'd said something ridiculous. "Men always turn things sexual. If you did it, it would come off as predatory. With me and Owen, it's spiritual. We have this deeper connection, Theo. Honestly, I feel emotionally safer with him than I do with you half the time, because he doesn't judge me." Then she walked around the kitchen island and planted herself right in front of me, staring at me with this look. This pitying expression like I was some unevolved caveman who couldn't comprehend her enlightened view of love. "My work husband and I cuddle sometimes," she repeated, emphasizing every single word like she was teaching a child to read. "It's platonic. Completely harmless. If you can't understand that, if your insecurity can't handle me supporting a friend, then that's on you. That's something you need to work through in therapy. I'm not going to shrink myself or my capacity for love just to make your ego feel better." I stared at the woman I'd spent 3 years building a life with. I thought about the ring sitting in a safe deposit box, the one I planned to propose with next year. I thought about the $5,700 I'd already racked up planning her birthday weekend. And then something strange happened. It wasn't rage. It wasn't heartbreak. It was like a weight slid off my chest and hit the floor. A sudden click, like a lock popping open. Right then, I understood something I should have seen a long time ago. She didn't respect me. She didn't even worry about losing me. She was so confident that she had me wrapped up, so sure that I was the dependable guy who'd pay the bills while Owen gave her the rush she craved, that she felt perfectly comfortable telling me, straight to my face, that she was being intimate with another man. She expected me to beg. She expected me to shout so she could label me abusive. She expected me to apologize for being jealous. Instead, I breathed in slowly. I picked up the wine bottle and topped off her glass like nothing was wrong. "You know what?" I said. My voice was calm, the same tone I use when I'm letting a contractor go for ignoring safety protocol. "You're right." She blinked, and the whole triumphant speech she was about to launch into just died in her throat. She actually looked thrown off. "I am." "Yeah," I said, setting the bottle down. "You've been looking at all of this the wrong way. You're your own person. If supporting your friend means cuddling with him in the dark at work, who am I to question your judgment?" It was insecure of me. "You're right." A slow, relieved smile crawled across her face. This victorious, self-satisfied grin like she'd just trained me properly. "Thank you, Theo," she said, touching my arm like she was rewarding a dog for finally sitting on command. "I knew you'd understand eventually. It really shows you're trying to grow for me." "I am," I said, smiling back. "Things are a lot clearer to me now." "Good," she said, already turning back to her phone. "Owen will be so relieved. He was worried you'd freak out." "Tell him he doesn't need to worry," I said, returning to the stove. "I'm not freaking out at all." And I wasn't. I was calculating. We had dinner. I asked about her day. She talked endlessly about how excited she was for Friday, how she'd already told the girls that I landed reservations at the Vane, and how she couldn't wait to see what other surprises I had lined up. "It's going to be unforgettable," I told her. And I meant it. That night, when we went to bed, she turned over and presented me her back, typing out a goodnight message to Owen. I just stared at the ceiling until morning. At 7 a.m., she left for work, humming and happy. She kissed my cheek like nothing had happened. "Love you," she said cheerfully. "Don't forget to pick up the dry cleaning for Friday." I replied. The moment the front door clicked shut, I got out of bed. I didn't shower. I didn't go to work. I sat down at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and pulled up the spreadsheet labeled Operation 30. Then I grabbed my phone. First call. The restaurant. "Good morning," I said when the hostess answered. "I have a reservation for 6 this Friday under Theo Ramirez. I need to cancel it." "Of course," she said. "Would you like to reschedule?" "No," I replied. "But I do have one special request. My ex-girlfriend doesn't know it's canceled yet. If she shows up, can you make sure the cancellation note is obvious?" "Certainly. Is there a specific reason code you'd like us to list?" "Yes," I said. "Put it down as service no longer needed." "Service no longer needed?" she repeated, clearly puzzled. "That's the one. Please make sure it pops up if she asks." "Okay, consider it done. Thanks." I hung up. Then I called the spa. Then the hotel. Then the florist. Then the boutique about returning the necklace. By noon, I had erased her birthday. By 2 p.m., my clothes, electronics, and important documents were packed in the car. By 4 p.m., I was already gone. All I left behind was the spare key on the counter, and the memory of her telling me her betrayal was my issue. She was right, and I had just solved that issue. Friday afternoon, I found myself in a weirdly peaceful state. I checked into a bland corporate suite hotel on the far side of the city, sterile enough not to be suspicious, comfortable enough to get work done. My phone was lying face up on the coffee table. I hadn't blocked her yet. I needed the moment of confirmation. I needed to see her reaction. Around 4 p.m., Lena texted me. "Leaving work now. Going to Tessa's to get ready. Can you bring the red tie I love? The one that matches my dress. See you at 7:30. Love you. Hugs and kisses." I stared at the message. The sheer audacity was honestly impressive. Less than 3 days earlier, Shed basically told me my emotions were some kind of psychological flaw she shouldn't have to handle. Now she was giving me instructions like I was her personal assistant. I didn't respond. At 6 p.m., another text came in. "Hey, just checking in. Are you on your way? Traffic is crazy." I took a slow sip of bourbon. No, I wasn't on my way. I was watching a documentary about deep-sea shipwrecks. I always felt oddly connected to the bottom of the ocean, cold, crushed by the weight of everything above it, and dead quiet. That's pretty much where my head was when, at exactly 7:15 p.m., our group chat suddenly lit up. It was the one with Lena, Tessa, and our other 2 friends, Molly and Aria. Tessa had sent a picture, a selfie of the 4 of them packed into the back of an Uber. Lena looked unbelievable. She was wearing the black silk dress I'd gotten her for Christmas, and she was glowing, all smiles, holding a champagne glass like she owned the night. Under the photo, Tessa had added a caption. "Birthday queen en route. Theo, where are you? We're thirsty." For a split second, I felt this old ghost of guilt tug at me, a leftover reflex from my former self, the overly accommodating Theo who would have been scrambling to get there in time. But then Owen popped into my mind. The cuddle. And that one word I couldn't shake, reason. And just like that, the guilt dissolved. Gone. At 7:28 p.m., my phone buzzed again. "Lena, we're at the bar. The hostess says our table isn't ready. I thought you pulled strings with the manager?" I leaned forward, almost like I was settling into a movie theater seat. The show was starting, and I didn't need to respond. Everything was unfolding exactly how I expected. Over the next 20 minutes, my lock screen turned into a slow-motion car wreck. 7:35 p.m. "Lena, Theo, where are you? The hostess keeps checking her computer and giving us weird looks." 7:38 p.m. "Tessa, dude, you need to get here. Lena's freaking out. This isn't funny." 7:40 p.m. Missed call from Lena. 7:41 p.m. Missed call from Lena. 7:42 p.m. Missed call from Tessa. I could picture the whole scene crystal clear. The gentle hum of the restaurant, the soft jazz, the clinking silverware, that low buzz of wealthy city, people murmuring over overpriced cocktails. Lena is standing at the host's stand, her perfect confidence slipping. Her friends shifting in their heels, exchanging worried glances. The hostess, a young woman who probably just wanted to survive the evening without ruining someone's birthday, bound to whatever was written on her computer screen. Then the real explosion hit. 7:45 p.m. Lena, what the Theo? 7:46 p.m. Lena, they said you canceled. They said you canceled everything. 7:47 p.m. Lena, reason? Service no longer needed. Are you insane? Everyone is staring at us. Answer your phone right now. My phone didn't just ring. It shook like it was convulsing. She was panic calling me again and again. I let every call slide into voicemail. I imagine the host is finally turning the screen around or reading the note out loud because Lena refused to believe it. Reason? Service no longer needed. It was sharp, surgical. It wasn't an excuse like family emergency or illness. It was a cold, transactional termination. It made our 3-year relationship look like some subscription I had decided to stop paying for. And the worst part for her? She had witnesses. Tessa, Molly, and Aria, the same group she had bragged to about how perfectly trained I was, watched her get dismissed like she was nothing more than an expired coupon. At 7:55 p.m., her voicemail came through. The background was chaos, cars passing, people chattering. She was outside, crying hard. Transcribed voicemail. Theo, please pick up. I don't understand. They wouldn't seat us. They said your card was removed. Tessa had to pay for the drinks, and it was like $65, and it was so embarrassing. Where are you? Are you home? I'm coming back. We need to talk. You can't do this on my birthday. She still didn't get it. She thought this was just a blow-up fight. A tantrum. Something she could smooth over with a kiss, a promise, or whatever manipulation had always worked before. At 8:10 p.m., Tessa texted. That was insanely cruel. Lena is hyperventilating. Whatever is going on, you don't do this to someone in public. Be a man and answer your phone. That was the moment I finally responded, though not to Lena. To Tessa. Me. Ask her about Owen. Ask her about the break room. Then tell me who isn't being a man. I set the phone down again. At 8:30 p.m., Lena texted. I'm at the apartment. Theo, where is your stuff? I could practically see her face as it all clicked. She had probably rushed home, ready to yell, cry, twist my emotions into knots, whatever her go-to move was. Instead, she came home to a ghost town. ID been efficient. My clothes, toiletries, laptop, gaming console, important documents, all gone. I even took the coffee maker I bought when we first moved in. The place wasn't empty. Her belongings were untouched, but I was gone. My existence had been cleanly cut out of the space like a missing puzzle piece. 8:35 p.m. Lena, you moved out. Seriously? Over a cuddle? Theo, this is psychotic. 8:40 p.m. Lena, please come back. I'm scared. I don't want to be alone tonight. 8:45 p.m. Lena, Owen is just a friend. They'll block him, okay? Just come home. It was textbook. First, the insult. You're psychotic. Then the helpless act. I'm scared. Then the bargaining. They'll block him. But she still didn't understand. Blocking Owen didn't fix anything. Owen wasn't the core issue. The real problem was that she had looked me dead in the eye, seen my hurt, and told me it was my flaw. She had broken the one unspoken rule between us. I protect you. You respect me. Scrolling through her messages, I felt lighter than I had in months. ID spent so long trying to be the modern, emotionally evolved partner she wanted, swallowing my instincts just to avoid being called toxic. Now, in her story, I was the villain, and I'll admit it. It felt damn good. 9 p.m. Lena, fine. Ignore me. But you owe me for the hotel and the spa. You promised me this weekend. 9:15 p.m. Me. I promised my girlfriend a birthday weekend. But she checked out on Tuesday to go play single with her work husband. I just finalized the paperwork. Enjoy the platonic silence. Peaceful, isn't it? 9:16 p.m. Lena, I hate you. 9:20 p.m. Me. You're right. Then I blocked her. Blocked Tessa. Blocked Molly and Aria. After that, I opened a food delivery app and ordered a greasy pizza from the place she always complained about. I ate it without shame and slept like a baby. The next morning, I woke to a single Instagram notification. I hadn't blocked her there yet. Shed posted a story at 2 a.m. A plain black background with tiny white text. The betrayal you never see coming hurts the most. Heartbroken narcissist, I actually laughed. Out loud. Alone in my new place. She was already flipping the script. She was the tragic heroine now, and I was the monster who ruined her birthday out of nowhere. But what she didn't realize was that I was holding one last piece of information she never saw coming. I already knew what kind of karma was waiting for her that Monday morning. Because while she was standing outside the restaurant sobbing into the night air, I had sent one last email. Not to her. Shed lost that privilege. I sent it to Owen's wife. Leaving Lena wasn't the only thing I did. I pulled out the one beam still holding up the shaky little house she thought was her life. Monday rolled around quietly for me. I grabbed a seat in a temporary workspace at a WeWork, sipping a coffee I genuinely enjoyed for the first time in ages. Meanwhile, Lena was probably strutting into the office expecting a parade of sympathy. She must have assumed Owen would be there waiting to console her, ready to listen to her rant about her psychotic ex-boyfriend and maybe offer another one of those totally not platonic cuddle sessions. What she didn't know was that I had already fired the first shot Saturday night. Finding Owen's wife, Nora, had been ridiculously easy. Facebook practically handed her to me. I kept the email simple, clinical, and completely emotionless. Subject: Tuesday afternoon. Hi Nora, I'm Theo, Lena's now ex-boyfriend. She told me she and Owen spent an hour cuddling in the dark break room last Tuesday for emotional regulation. She insisted it was perfectly normal and totally platonic. I disagreed, so I ended things with her. I figured you deserved a heads up about how your husband spends his afternoons, in case you don't share their definition of platonic. Best, Theo. The fallout was nuclear. I got the details later from a mutual acquaintance, Colin, who still worked in their building. Turns out Owen didn't protect her. He didn't fall to his knees for his soulmate. He didn't defend the cosmic, spiritual bond she had convinced herself they shared. Nope. Owen panicked. When Nora confronted him, he hurled Lena under the bus so fast her shoes probably spun. He said Lena was obsessed with him. He claimed she cornered him, that she crossed boundaries, and that he was too uncomfortable and too afraid of office politics to tell her no. To save his marriage and his job, Owen sprinted to HR before Lena even made it to her desk. So instead of being greeted Monday morning by her sweet, supportive work husband, Lena was met with an email from the Director of Human Resources. Owen had filed a formal complaint. Inappropriate workplace conduct. Creating a hostile environment. She was put on administrative leave before lunch. That afternoon, I got an email from her work address. Her personal accounts couldn't reach me anymore. Subject: You ruined my life. Are you happy? Owen won't talk to me. HR escorted me out. Nora called me a. You didn't just break up with me. You destroyed my reputation. I lost my boyfriend, my best friend, and maybe my job in 48 hours. How could you be this vindictive? I thought you loved me. I didn't respond. I dragged it straight to trash. Silence was the only answer she deserved. I wasn't being vindictive. I wasn't plotting revenge. I simply held up a mirror and let her drown in the reflection Shed created. She wanted Owen? Well, she got him, the real one. A man who used her for a boost and tossed her aside the moment she became a liability. Over the next couple months, the updates trickled in through the few friends I hadn't blocked. Lena was fired. Mutual separation, they called it. Her friends, those same women who once admired her main character energy, pulled away quietly. It's tough to stand behind someone who cheats on the guy paying for her birthday and then gets canned for harassment. Eventually, she had to move out of our apartment, because without my financial support, she couldn't keep up with the rent. She ended up back at her parents' place in the suburbs, 45 minutes away from the city she loved to brag about. Me? I was thriving. My savings were bouncing back nicely now that I wasn't funding her princess weekends. I was sleeping a full 8 hours for the first time in years. And I even met someone new, Marina, a nurse. On our third date, she told me, I value direct communication and loyalty. Hearing that after 3 years of emotional gymnastics felt like breathing oxygen after being underwater too long. Then, 5 months later, it finally happened. I ran into her. It was bound to occur eventually. We still lived in the same city, and even though she had retreated to the suburbs, she came downtown for job interviews. I was standing in a coffee shop near my new apartment, waiting on a pour-over. I looked good. Leaner. Fresher. A better haircut. A tailored coat ID bought with the money saved from our canceled birthday weekend. Theo? I turned. Lena looked tired. That was the only word that fit. The radiant confidence she once projected had dimmed to a flicker. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun. Her blazer looked like it belonged to someone else, someone heavier, someone more sure of themselves. And her eyes carried the frantic weight of a person who had spent months trying, and failing, to justify their own choices. "Hello, Lena," I said. My voice came out calm, almost professional, the way you'd greet a vendor from a company you stopped working with. She clutched her purse, glancing at my coat, my posture, the lack of anger in my expression. "You look good," she whispered. "I am good," I told her. "Really good, actually." She exhaled shakily. "I miss you, Theo. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but the punishment, it didn't fit the crime. I lost everything." "No," I corrected softly. "You lost the things you didn't appreciate." She rushed in, her eyes filling. "Owen was a mistake. He was a predator. He used me. I didn't see it then. I needed validation and I looked in the wrong place. But we had 3 years, Theo. Doesn't that count for something? Can't we talk? I can fix this." People in the CAF were starting to glance over. The old version of me would have felt embarrassed. He would have taken her outside, handed her a tissue, and let her weave a fresh version of events. But the new me? He just checked the time. "Lena," I said quietly, "do you remember what you told me in the kitchen? You said if I didn't understand your needs, that was my issue." She blinked hard, like the memory stung. "I was angry," she whispered. "I didn't mean it." "You did," I said gently. "And honestly, you were right. It was my issue. I had an issue with being disrespected, with being someone's backup plan, with paying for a lifestyle while you were emotionally wrapped up with another man." I stepped a little closer, keeping my voice low so she couldn't twist anything into theatrics. "So I fixed the issue. I removed myself from your life. And seeing how quickly everything fell apart the moment I stopped holding it together, it made me realize I wasn't your partner. I was your logistics manager." I paused, and I resigned. "Theo, please," she breathed, a tear streaking down her cheek. "I'm sorry. I love you." I looked at her, searching for even a flicker of emotion, anger, nostalgia, pity, anything. There was nothing, just recognition, like seeing someone you used to know in an old photo. "I don't think you know what that word means," I said softly. The barista called out, "Order for Theo." I turned away, picked up my coffee, and headed for the door. I didn't look back. As the cool autumn air hit my face, I felt lighter, freer. Lena's gaze burned into my back, but it didn't matter. I had a date with Marina that night. We were cooking dinner together. No reservations. No chaos. No mind games. Service was no longer needed. And for the first time in my entire life, I finally felt completely free.